All right, let's just get right to it. The wait is finally over. After 2 decades, one of the most legendary names in motorcycling has returned, and the hype has been absolutely off the charts. Suzuki brought back the DR-Z, but listen, this is so much more than just a comeback. It's a total reinvention, and we're going to break down exactly what makes this bike so incredibly special.
I mean, right out of the gate, this is what we're hearing from the first ride reviews. Outrageous. Think about that word. That's not a word you just throw around lightly. It tells you right away that we are not dealing with your average everyday motorcycle. So how did Suzuki earn that kind of praise? Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. To really get why this new bike is such a big deal, we've got to take a step back. This isn't just another new model rolling off the factory floor. We're talking about the return of a genuine icon, a bike that pretty much defined a whole style of riding and left this huge hole in the market when it disappeared. Just look at this. We are talking about a nearly 20-year gap. That's a lifetime in the motorcycle world. And you have to understand, for Suzuki, the name DR-Z is sacred. It's right up there with legends like GSX-R and Hayabusa. So to bring it back after all this time, yeah, the pressure was on. They couldn't just get it right. They had to knock it out of the park. And this is the single most important thing to understand. This is not the old bike with a few new parts bolted on. Come on, in 2 decades, everything has changed. The laws, the technology, the materials. Suzuki knew they couldn't just polish up the old legend. They had to start with a completely blank sheet of paper and build it from the ground up. Every single component on this bike is brand new. So, where do you start with a project this big? Well, you start with the heart of the machine, right? The engine. And this all-new engine is where Suzuki's engineers faced their single biggest hurdle. Here's the puzzle they had to solve. On one hand, you have today's incredibly strict emissions rules, which, let's be honest, usually strangle performance and make bikes less fun. On the other hand, you have the reputation of the original DR-Z, raw, aggressive, and powerful. So how in the world do you satisfy both? How do you build a modern, clean engine that still has that legendary, aggressive soul? So how'd they do it? Well, it was like a 3-pronged attack. First, they went to war on internal friction. Using all kinds of advanced computer modeling, they made every moving part slip and slide with less resistance. Second, they made it way easier for the engine to breathe by totally redesigning the air intake. And third, they made the whole combustion process smarter and more efficient, using high-tech stuff like titanium valves and twin spark plugs.
And all of that incredible work boils down to this one single number, 17%. That is a massive 17% reduction in mechanical friction inside the engine. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but what it really means is they freed up a huge amount of power that was just being wasted as heat before. This, right here, is the secret sauce. It's how they met all the modern rules without killing the character of the DR-Z. Okay, so you've got all this fantastic new power, but power is totally useless if you can't control it. And that brings us to the bike's brain. A really sophisticated electronics package that makes this one of the most versatile machines you can buy. This chart really shows you how you can change the bike's whole personality with just the push of a button. You've got 3 power modes. A is full-on attack mode. B is your perfect everyday balance. And C is great for when the weather gets nasty. But honestly, the real star of the show here is the G mode for gravel. It is a total game changer. It's designed to let you get that awesome pro-style slide going on the dirt, but with an electronic safety net there to catch you. It's incredible.
All right, the tech specs are impressive, for sure. But what does this thing actually feel like to ride? Let's check out what the experts and, regular riders are saying. I love this quote from an expert on the DR-Z, Shinyo Sano. He says the electronics are so good, so natural, that even a seasoned pro wouldn't think twice about switching to the gentle C mode in bad weather. That's when you know a system is designed well. It's there to help you, not to get in your way. And it's not just the experts saying this stuff. The feedback from the very first customer test rides keeps hitting the same notes. Everyone talks about how incredibly light it feels, that immediate punch of power you get, and how useful the different modes are in the real world. But the one comment you hear over and over and over again, it's simple. It's just a fundamentally fun bike to ride. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest questions people had just looking at the spec sheet, the seat height. 890 millimeters sounds kind of tall, right? Well, look at this data. A whopping 97% of riders said it was either totally manageable or no problem at all. And why is that? Because the bike is so incredibly slim and light that the number is deceiving. For most people, it's not an issue.
So we've looked at the history, the amazing new engine, the smart electronics, and what it feels like from the saddle. Let's pull it all together. What is the final word on the new DR-Z?
It really boils down to this. The good stuff, the engine is an absolute thrill. The electronics are top-notch, best-in-class stuff, and the handling is so light and agile. But hey, nothing's perfect. On the downside, pretty much everyone agrees the seat is hard as a rock, so this is not your long-distance touring machine. And yeah, when you really get on the throttle, you're going to feel some vibrations. It's a trade-off you make for all that performance. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. What exactly is this bike? It doesn't really fit in the old boxes anymore. It's not just a trail bike, and it's not quite a normal sports bike. I think the consensus is that Suzuki has done what they do best. They've carved out a whole new category. A sort of Suzuki-style 400cc supersport. And the idea that they've created an entirely new class of motorcycle, well, that might just be the most exciting part of this whole comeback story.